Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19 cousins. Let's dig in. I was hoping to do this as a surprise, but I realized, hey, if you clicked onto this video, you know what the announcement's going to be, but we're going to dig into it a little more, talk about what might happen. Yes, it is official, folks. The Indiana Fever have clinched a playoff spot. They are in the playoffs for the first time since 2016. They're at 17-16, 7 games to go. I think it's the first time they've been over 500 since I want to say very early in 2017. I think they were like 3-2. So, what does this mean? Well, what's really interesting is the final playoff spot is really up in the air. You've got 4 teams, just real quick. Right now, if it were to end today, it would be Chicago. They have a tiebreaker against Atlanta, although those 2 teams play each other one more time. But look, Dallas only a game behind. Washington only a game behind them. Dallas only 2 games behind. They all play each other, so anything is possible. You've got the the Aces and the Storm could switch places. The Fever and the Mercury could switch places. The Lynx and the Sun could switch places. But what's really interesting is it's almost a certainty, not a certainty, but it's almost that the Indiana Fever will play either the Lynx or the Sun. And here is why. It goes 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, 4-5. Indiana, as you can see, they're 3 games behind Seattle with 7 to go, and Seattle has the tiebreaker. So that makes them basically 4 games behind. Almost impossible for them to catch the Seattle Storm, especially since they don't play them, so they can't get that, double swing there. So they're most likely, the Fever are going to finish 6 or 7. Well, 6 or 7 plays 2 or 3, which either way it's going to be, as you can see, it's almost certainly going to be the Sun and the Lynx at 2 or 3, even if it's reversed. Doubtful that the Aces catch them again, only 7 games to play. Doubtful that either one of them catches New York, 3 games apart, only 7 games to play. So most likely the Fever will play Connecticut or Minnesota in the playoffs. They have beaten both teams. They have played well against both teams. So that is a really, really big deal for the Indiana Fever going forward. For whatever reason, they haven't matched up well against the Aces. Now they haven't played them in a while. The Fever are a different team, but sometimes it's simply matchups. Even when the Fever had that terrible start, 1-8, 11 games in 20 days, playing the top teams, they had that game against Connecticut that they could have won, that they had a chance to tie the game and send it into overtime at the end. They just seemed to match up better. But we will see. It's a different team. It's a different time. Check this out. Indiana Fever, 7 games to play. Here's the interesting thing I wanted to point out. 6 games. The next 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all in Indiana, all in Indianapolis. They play their next 6 games at home before they finish up against the Washington Mystics on the road. And the Mystics may at the time still be fighting for a playoff spot. So that's the other thing. There are no easy games left. I know you probably look at the Sparks, but the Sparks have been playing better basketball. Rickea Jackson didn't have the faith of the coach early on for whatever reason. She's been playing more and more. People are finally jumping on the bandwagon that I've been running down the road for a while now, which Rickea Jackson, if anybody is going to be talked about in terms of Rookie of the Year that's not Caitlin Clark, it would be Rickea Jackson. And she is showing why. So she's been playing really well lately. So you've got that. Of course, the Lynx, tough game. You've got the Dream. Again, the Dream are tied with the Sky for that final playoff spot. And then you have Wednesday, September 11th. And, of course, Friday, September 13th. Friday, the 13th. 2 games back-to-back. Las Vegas Aces, which could very well help determine the MVP race, because no, A'ja Wilson has not already won it. She has not the unanimous MVP. She was anointed. She still has to earn it. Check out my video from yesterday that covers all of that, does a deep dive into why she is not the unanimous MVP. Now, check this out. I think I mentioned this in the video, but look, the Indiana Fever are sitting number 3 in points scored. It is not easy once the season's been going on for a long time to make significant jumps, but I believe they were 6, even maybe 7, well into the season, past the halfway point, and they are now up to 3. They are starting to click. The last 2 games, I think, are really the first 2 games where we saw consistent offense for the whole game as opposed to one dominant quarter and then some okay stuff. So they're clicking a little more. They're running a little more. There's more ball movement by the team. Kelsey Mitchell is playing within the system more. Lexi Hull being out there obviously is huge. But folks, no one wants to play the Indiana Fever come playoff time. I can tell you that right now. Hey, look, they're even number 4. This was a struggle earlier too. They're number 4 in the league in rebounds. And by the way, all right, look, Chicago Sky fans, Angel Reese fans, just cover your ears for a second because I just have to point this out and glancing at it. Rebounds are important. There's no doubt you get crushed on the boards, you lose games. However, it is not the be all end all statistic, as we can see with the Chicago Sky, Atlanta Dream, and Dallas Wings being 3 of the top 5 rebounding teams in the league. But anyway, so a couple of things I wanted to show you with the Indiana Fever. First, Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston, I know offensively has not really been there the last couple of games, not taking a lot of shots. I think that's for a few reasons. I think they've played some really good post players the last couple of games. The Fever, they're not running that pick and roll that they had been running, as you know, in the same way that they were running it with Aaliyah Boston. And the big thing that I'm seeing with her that I want to see more of is she's not getting transition buckets anymore. Then that's what I would like to see from Aaliyah Boston is more transition buckets, more easier buckets for her, getting her the ball, you know, when she's coming down the court and getting the ball around the top of the key or the foul line, and she's already moving toward the basket and just can get that pass, collect, and drive hard to the hoop, possibly get a foul, get an easy layup, and get her offense going again. Because when the Fever gets stuck in that half court, well, with the way they're playing, Boston's not getting the ball a lot. And so when she is, I think there's a little bit too much forcing underneath and these touches in the paint. Get away from that. Let's try and get her some easy buckets in transition, because people don't get too worked up about Aaliyah Boston. Partly it's because of the way Mitchell and Clark have been playing, and she's still playing well. She just hasn't been a focal point in terms of the number of shots she's taken and the points she's scoring. She's still shooting over 51%. She's averaging 13.4 points. She's grabbing 9 boards a game. And by the way, she's averaging for the season 3 assists a game. From the center, that's second on the team behind Caitlin Clark's 8.4. Kelsey Mitchell is up to 19 points. Caitlin Clark's up to 18.7 points. Lexi Hull now starting in games has been a huge addition. She's got the whole team fired up. The whole team's playing better defensively, and I think a lot of that is because of the way Lexi Hull plays defense. Kelsey Mitchell is up to 1.9 assists per game for the season because we're seeing her get more assists now since the break because her offense has been more within the system. She's not the black hole. She's not chucking up bad shots anymore. And look, scorers like Kelsey Mitchell, you know, scorers like Arike, scorers like one of my favorites, Allen Iverson, they will take bad shots. That's just part of their game, being volume shooters, explosive scorers that can get on streaks and light it up and score, you know, 10 points in a minute. But it's the when and the how many. And Kelsey Mitch is Mitchell has dramatically cut back on that. And to that point, couple more things I just want to get to. This is since the All-Star break. Okay, the last 7 games, the 6-1, and we're worried about Boston. Well, check this out. She leads the league in assists on 3-point shots since the break. 21 from Aaliyah Boston. Alyssa Thomas is second with 20, followed by Caitlin Clark with 19. So between Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark, that's 38 assists in the last 7 games on 3-pointers. That is the power of the Fever offense. The threats that they have, the ability for Hull and Mitchell and Clark to shoot the three, to knock down the three consistently now, that makes it really, really, really tough on defenses. Pick your poison, folks. Pick your poison. Speaking of, pick your poison. Clark and Mitchell post All-Star break combined over 51 points a game. Clark 5 rebounds. Mitchell's grabbing rebounds now too, folks. 4.1 rebounds a game. Clark's got 9 assists. Mitchell 2.4. I mentioned that her season average is 1.9. So that's been brought up. She's averaging 2.4 in the 7 games since the break. We've seen a number of games with 3. That is her playing within the offense a little more, making passes. They're both shooting extremely well. Absolutely huge. Thing I will finish up with is what I think are the keys to the team continuing to play well and into the playoffs, and if they can make some damage, is, of course, the running game. And they're not going to look. I get even running teams can't necessarily run every single play. It just doesn't work out that way in terms of how the other team gets back. Although you see them, the Fever score a lot off a pass or two, even on makes. And that right there, you've seen Caitlin Clark on a made basket by the Mercury, have the ball inbounded to her, go all the way down the court and score on a layup herself before the defense gets set. And the fact that they can do that, that in and of itself changes the game because it puts so much pressure on a defense. First of all, I believe that those rebound numbers you see from the Fever, one of the reasons that they've improved so much in rebounding is not specific to the rebounding itself, is because teams have learned that, man, if we take a shot, we better get back on defense, even if we make it. So it's like the shot goes up, teams are getting out of the way. It's leaving the Fever there to grab rebounds that maybe teams would have gotten offensive boards against them in the past. So that threat of the run completely changes that and limits the opponent's opportunities because the running game is so effective. I want to see Boston get involved early in transition, get Boston easy buckets. Forget about having her get set in the paint, throw her the ball in the half court and have her battle against 1 or 2 bigs. Let's get her trailing, right? This is a big part of transition offense too. When you get down the court, you're not getting down for a layup, but you're getting down quickly in transition. Usually you have a big like Melissa Smith did on that highlight ESPN play, or Aaliyah Boston, where the ball gets down there and then they as a big are trailing the play, and boom, you get them the ball around the top of the key, around the foul line as they're moving toward the basket. And both Melissa Smith and Aaliyah Boston have the athleticism to catch that ball and go to the basket under control and finish, maybe get fouled. Let's get Aaliyah Boston some easy buckets that way. Their defense has been a lot more aggressive the last few games. I want to continue to see that. Kelsey Mitchell, shout out to Kelsey Mitchell for her defense lately and her defensive effort. I think Lexi Hull is rubbing off. I think they're all rotating a little better. They're all quicker in their rotations. Kelsey Mitchell has been really aggressive in her 1v1 defensive play, getting up in players' faces. I think the way the offense has come together has completely changed Kelsey Mitchell as a player in a good way. And that's, look, shout out to Kelsey Mitchell. I've been hard on her with some of her shot taking decisions, but the way she's been playing lately, unbelievable. She's adjusted. She's taken what's great about her game and put it into the Fever offense in the way that helps the most. And because of that, and seeing those results, it's changed her game on the defensive end. Look, Caitlin Clark, one of the things that drove me nuts about her defensively was when teams are moving the ball around and they kick out and they get someone it's an open three. You know it's going to be a three. They're taking the shot. But as a defense, whoever's closest, you always have to aggressively close out and get a hand up and at least make them think about you. Make them think about the possibility of a block. Maybe they rush their shot a little bit because of you. And she has never really done that all that much. She's sort of gone half-heartedly. The hand never even goes up. Last couple of games, I've seen her get out much quicker and the hand getting up fully in the shooter space. So that's huge as well. Finally, last thing, Clark off the dribble when they get into a half court. Clark off the dribble when she's, foul line extended left or right, and she's keeping that dribble alive and she's looking to maybe penetrate. That creates so many problems for defenses because of what she can do. Because the Fever, when they space it, I'm talking about when they space it. So she's not looking to get the ball to like Dantas or Smith or Boston on the block. You've got maybe Dantas or Boston out top. So you don't have defense in the paint because there's nobody on offense anywhere near there. And you've got 5 players on the court who can make the three. So now that puts the wing on the island. When you've got Hull or Mitchell out there and their defender, they've got to worry about helping on Clark going to the basket. They've got to be worried about helping on Clark stepping back and hitting the three. They've got to be worried about Clark starting drive and then kicking it out to the wing for a three from Hull or Mitchell. And then when they've got all that on their minds and they get distracted just a little bit and they get focused on what Clark is doing, Mitchell or Hull just goes right to the hoop down the baseline. Clark hits him with a great bounce pass that leads them into open space, and you get an easy layup out of it. So I'm going to leave that there. Those are the keys I'd like to see with this team going forward. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, all that great stuff. It really does help out a lot, and I appreciate it. And I will talk to you later.